Hey folks, Phil Gallagher here for Daily D&T, featuring my heavily metagamed potential Legacy Premier League deck list. Planes go, to the surprise of no one. We're potentially playing against High Tide. I'm still not ruling out High Tide. I'm not really sure what I'm playing against as of right now. But knowing the player, I still think High Tide is the greatest possibility, and this is just in there for some, like, wacky main deck or sideboard card that they're going to have the ability to cast off of it, that they don't need to put non-basic in their lands in their deck to cast. We're just going to try to reduce that life total to 0 as quickly as possible. Cunning Wish still smells like High Tide. Note that High Tide does tend to just beat through a Thalia. Yeah, High Tide. I also don't have Rashadan Ports, which are a really key card in this matchup, and this matchup's very difficult anyway. So High Tide, oh, great. Super, super happy to steal game 1 here. Note, I am really light on cards that are going to matter for this matchup. Like, Chalice of the Void would be one of the best things that I could be doing. So I'm probably going to play a whole bunch of Surgical Extractions and some Pithing Needles naming fetch lands here. But what fetches did my opponent play in game 1? So I saw Scalding Tarn, I saw Flooded Strand, I saw Polluted Delta. So my opponent has split them. So I definitely don't want Swords to Plowshares or Path to Exile. Those can all go. Umezawa's Jitte is very bad as well. And then I have a bunch of, like, beaters in my deck that aren't really great. So I can probably drop a Crusader or a Tomic pretty safely. Opponent is probably not targeting my lands. Yeah, let's drop that. The ability for Crusader to just pick up Sword of Fire and Ice and potentially just 2-turn my opponent might be very strong. These Pithing Needles are super questionable, by the way. I would not be boarding them in normal circumstances. This is good enough. I don't like that we have, like, 3 Wasteland / Ghost Quarters. But I think the ability to just cast Athalia on turn 2 and then have Surgical Extraction later on is pretty great. We may get into weird territories where we end up Ghost Quartering one of our own lands to just get another white source for the Crusader. My opponent is apparently looking at a pretty tough 6. Actually pretty happy to see that Recruiter. That gives me something that's much stronger to do on my 3rd turn than Crusader. Actually, is that true? Because I don't have the Sanctum Prelate to go and get. So what am I getting, like a Revoker? A Stoneforge? Maybe this Recruiter is not actually all that good. It is, however, castable. Ooh. The pause there was probably deciding whether or not to actually play out a Tundra. It reveals a Brainstorm. Nice. Nice. So Swords to Plowshares now explains the white. Merchant Scroll for Turnabout. Sure. Alright. Do I have any sort of hate bearer at all to get with this? It's just Phyrexian Revoker. That's something to keep in mind if I actually play this deck list. A Prelate in the sideboard may be worth that slot, even though I don't really think people are going to be playing that. I don't think my opponent can go off next turn feasibly. So I'm just going to drop the Surgical Extraction on High Tide Shield and crash in for damage. then I'll naturally be able to go and hold up my surgical every turn from the rest of the game pretty easily. But this 3-mana turn is sort of my bottleneck turn. I don't think just playing Revoker is a fast enough clock. Note, I can Ghost Quarter an island here if I want. Make him get a new island. You got it, friend. So we're going to take High Tide, High Tide, High Tide from that. So does my opponent have anything spicy in here I need to know about? A couple of Monastery Mentors, Swords to Plowshares, and Teferi Time Raveler. So it's just going to be another turnabout, untap some things, get some mana. That's fine. Okay, I now have another Surgical Extraction. That's cool. My opponent has a decent chunk of mana here, but it's probably going to be difficult. Sorry, let me finish that thought. It's probably going to be difficult to go off. My opponent might not die. Now it's starting to get into the realm of possibility where that might actually happen. Do I want to extract Merchant Scrolls in response to that? Merchant Scroll makes it easier to go and find Cunning Wish, which is one of the problem cards right now. So I believe the answer is yes. That's a sorcery. The opponent can't respond. Well, can't respond by casting another one, more accurately, I should say. And it would have worked, too. So opponent has a Cunning Wish. There is definite fear here. But their resources are at least somewhat bottlenecked. 16, 32, 42, 45. No, more than that. Oh, rats. Yeah, that is just going to get me, isn't it? All right, thought we were pretty safe there. We will try again. Yeah, Thalia, normally a very good Hate Bear versus Storm decks, not so much High Tide. I guess opponents' mentors and Teferis could make me want, like, Council Judgment or something like that. Should take a quick look at my opponent's fetch lands from this game. See if there's not an even split. I'm sure my opponent is splitting evenly, but I should confirm. Split seems even, at least from what I can see. I don't have a ton of data points. My opponent just played a lot of violence naturally that game. I think I can do better than this. This is just a very, very fair hand. I guess we'll keep that. Name a fetch land in the dark. Hope to get lucky. I'm gonna name Flooded Strand in the dark. I don't think my opponent is gonna have like a basic plains or anything like that. But if they do, Flooded Strand might be the one that there's slightly more of. Let's see if I'm a wizard. Not a wizard. At least not a wizard that I can see. One bottom, one top with that. Tomic's not a bad draw. It means I can play another aggressive card even if my opponent... Sorry, even if I miss out on a land drop. So if my opponent had a Flooded Strand, it can now get shuffled away. Now I'll add a lot of the text to the lands in play. Actually, does Tomic do something against High Tide? No, because Time Spiral doesn't target the lands, right? It's just you may untap up to. Yeah, so that's not going to actually do anything. Should have picked Skull in turn. So we have the wrong tools for right now. Like we have too many generic beaters. Our relevant card got forced. My opponent hasn't been kind enough to draw a bunch of Flooded Strands that I can see. My opponent may or may not actually be going off here. This could just be like High Tide into a whole bunch of cantrips, create a billion demonks. I also can't have 6 because we have 4 High Tides, or sorry, 4 Surgical Extractions to draw into. Yeah, it feels like my opponent is just trying to make as many monks as possible here. So now my opponent can shuffle away one of the cards off of that brainstorm that they didn't like. Oh, no, they're going to keep going. At this point, I don't really know how I win this game. Especially now. Well, I'm getting hit for 11. My opponent has 7 new cards. I'm going to let this one play out, but we're pretty dead. I'm mostly going to just let this play out to let Marcus do his thing, because this is impressive. And if he just 20s me with a Mentor, I won't even be mad. He's up to 13. He might be able to do it. Ladies and gentlemen, can he get me with the Mentor in one turn? It's very possible. There's still 5 cards left in hand. The Merchant Scrolls give a shuffle effect. Ponders give a shuffle effect. Turnabout for mana. Turnabout for mana. You can do it. I believe in you. Marcus responds, haha, I hope that is true for this client as well. Should take a picture of this for the Twitterverse. We're up to 18. $19. Cunning Wish. That's 20. So now this is sort of a Bob's your uncle sort of situation where you can get the kill however you want, like a Brain Freeze or Blue Sun Zenith will definitely take over the game, but Mentor Crash in for 21 is pretty sick as well. Now he's just showing off. But the video has kept going for this long, so might as well see what can happen. I don't want to concede unless he has some, like, just in case he has some really sick piece of tech for the viewers. But like we are literally dead to board right now. I guess now let's take a new snip. All right, folks, we got high-tided. I'll be back tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed that.